then I was even grateful just thinking about if things started to get hard, I could move in with my parents, or have such a big family that I could move in with.
Oh, wake up, rethink the status quo. When you get your money right, then you're the one who runs your life. Come build a wealthy spirit with Sammie and Michelle.
So Michelle and I have just moved to South Carolina. I have left my job, and I have been spending an inordinate amount of time looking at dressers for my closet.
It's crazy the amount of decisions we have to make after moving.
It's true. But what's been upsetting me is I think I am desperately trying to optimize on getting this dresser. One, I'm like, do I even need a dresser? But truthfully, I love having more things to organize my things because that's one of my things. I'm organized. I hate when things are disorganized. So I hate when everything's just like in a shelf all together and not in a particular place. But I have this fear that I'm going to go down an organizing rabbit hole and I'll be buying all kinds of things. I'm like, you already bought those lazy Susans for the spice rack. And I'm worried that next thing you know, I'll be buying all these organizing things, but then I'm going to have to get evicted from our apartment complex because I can't pay rent.
Because you overdid it on plastic containers?
Literally, yes. This is really frustrating to me because I would find myself on Facebook Marketplace or Buy Nothing groups and then trying to investigate if I did have to have someone move it, how much would that cost? And I'm literally spending hours on this. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, is this how I'm going to spend my entire sabbatical? Just like trying to optimize on a dresser? Like, I don't want that to be my life. And why am I acting like this? Then I realized it's because I have a scarcity mindset.
I can totally relate, Sammie. One, just moving. For me, my cost of living is going up. I have been finding myself shifting back into a scarcity mindset as well. And I think it's very easy to do that. And we don't even realize how detrimental it is. But when we're trying to be both cost efficient and also trying to make the best decision, sometimes we tip into trying to optimize or use, quote unquote, making the perfect decision as a way to avoid what's really going on.
It's true, Michelle. I think the truth is, after leaving my job, I am anxious about spending a lot of money on a dresser. Versus while I was working, I'd probably just go ahead and purchase one. This reminds me of scarcity mindset and abundance mindset because even though I have plenty of money to purchase a dresser, I still have trouble because I'm coming from a place of mental scarcity, even if my financial reality doesn't match that. And it reminds me of my good old grandfather of productivity, Stephen Covey.
Shout out 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Stephen Covey, many people think, is one of the first people to introduce this topic of a scarcity versus abundance mindset in his famous book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he talks about how people with a scarcity mindset, they think there's one big pie out there. And the more that another person has of the pie, there's less for everybody else. The reason I think this is so important for us at Build a Wealthy Spirit is because having an abundance mindset truly brings in more abundance into your lifestyle. You make better choices, you have more peace of mind. It also just allows you to enjoy the fruits of your labor. When we have a scarcity mindset, sometimes we can't even enjoy the money or the time or the freedom that we've brought into our life because we're still acting how we acted when we didn't have those things. And that's why Michelle and I thought it was really important to talk about today.
Let's get into it, Sammie. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about our partner for this episode, AirHelp. Here at Build a Wealthy Spirit, we want to make sure you have abundance, and that includes getting more money into your pocket without having to waste your time. The thing I love about AirHelp is that they're there for you when you're going through a very stressful time in your life, when your flight plans get delayed or canceled to a point where it's just excessive. You're flying the next day, you're going hours and hours later. This is a common thing that's been happening, And the thing is, there's a lot of legislation in places like the US or different countries in Europe where you can actually be compensated if your flight goes over, say, 6 hours delayed. But at the same time, I don't like to waste my time going and calling these different airlines trying to see if I can get compensation. So what AirHelp does is you give them your information, your flight information, your tickets. They go, they fight the good fight for you, and they only charge you $24.99 if they're able to get you something in return. The US is in the top 3 countries where they're able to help people get something back for their flight. So if you are one of the thousands of people who have been having issues with flying, we definitely recommend checking out AirHelp. Our partner link is in both our show notes and our newsletter, so definitely check them out.
Back to today's topic of scarcity versus abundance.
Sammie, I think we need to start up top with what is a scarcity mindset? What does that look like? And I loved this definition from choosingtherapy.com, a piece by Joyce Martyr, Scarcity Mindset, What It Is, Causes, and How to Overcome It. Their definition for a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset is characterized by a belief that one has limited resources or is unable to provide for themselves or others. This unhealthy mentality can lead to intense feelings of anxiety, which can cause significant problems in one's life. A scarcity mindset may develop as a result of financial trauma, poverty, or societal expectations. That resonated with me so much. I think not only because of the definition of a scarcity mindset, which is coming to a situation, whether it's money, love, time, coming into a situation and feeling like you're not going to get enough of it. Or if you don't hoard it, or if you don't spend it immediately, you're going to lose it. And I think, especially for people who listen to this podcast, a lot of people come from a diverse set of backgrounds. And there's a lot of things that can happen both in your life, in your parents' life, in your grandparents' life that can actually affect the mindset that gets passed down.
That's a great point, Michelle. And I know even Stephen Covey talks about in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People how this idea of a scarcity mindset starts when we are young. It often is initially instilled by our parents or society, and those people may have had limited resources, which taught them to think in this fear-based and anxiety-based manner.
Yeah, a lot of times we have a scarcity mindset because we came from scarcity. But then later in life, when we're able to have abundance and we're able to have more of the things that we want and need, and our basic needs are started to be met, we still carry that scarcity mindset.
The piece also talks about some signs of a scarcity mindset. So if you're wondering if you or a loved one may have a scarcity mindset, here are some things to watch out for. It could be things like overscheduling, a scarcity mindset about time, fear of loss, feeling like you need to be overly self-reliant, fearing failure, perfectionism, or rushing to make decisions.
So many of those resonated with me, Sammie. Perfectionism is a topic we've even spoken about on this podcast before, which a lot of this is tied to the fear of taking risks, the fear of putting something out there and it not being satisfactory, wanting to wait until you're good enough. And I can see so many signs of that in different parts of my life.
It's true, Michelle. I think one of the big areas for scarcity mindsets is money. That's a big one where it's more obvious to see. And something I know, a podcast I listened to, Hidden Brain, with Shankar Vedantam, he talks about a woman who had lost her job and she had an extreme scarcity mindset. She got a credit card and then she immediately went to the store and started buying necessity items like paper towels, toilet paper, everything in bulk, and maxed out the credit card immediately because she had this fear that now she has the credit card, she has the money. In the future, she might not have the money, so let me go ahead and get these things that I need right away. Of course, then this worsens her situation because now she has a big credit card bill to pay. She's going to rack up interest. Things that she might need tomorrow, like gas next week, she can't afford. It actually creates more problems, but it's because those decisions were made from a place of fear and anxiety that she ended up in this situation.
I really like that example, Sammie, not only because of the fact that a lot of people can relate to that personally, But even if it's something you saw in your childhood, your parents struggling to pay bills, you start to build this scarcity mindset. And again, you can carry that to different seasons of your life. And it actually doesn't necessarily help you. The need to hoard things or to keep things doesn't necessarily actually pay off in the way that we think they will. Like you said, the woman in this podcast, she wasn't able to pay her gas bill.
And another feature of scarcity mindset, especially around money, that I noticed, Michelle, is that a lot of times people who have scarcity mindset will have a negative attitude for people who are wealthy or for people who do have money. It's this idea that Stephen Covey from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People talks about, where if one person has a piece of the pie, that means there's less piece of the pie for us. So calling people who are wealthy things like filthy rich, or the idea that loving money is the root of all evil. These concepts kind of perpetuate this narrative that wealth is negative, wealth is bad, and you can see how somebody with a scarcity mindset would cling to those to antagonize people who do have wealth, and then to kind of emphasize that they are so distant conceptually from people who have money.
I've seen this so much in our own life, Sammie. I think there were so many people in our family who would talk negatively about people who had money because there's this abstract Scrooge McDuck out there who's like swimming in their pile of coins. And even though I think there was a part of me that understood that that was like a caricature and not true, I definitely carried that into my life. It's hard for me to honestly believe that like somebody who has my background could relate to somebody who grew up super wealthy, which isn't even true. I have plenty of friends who come from a variety of backgrounds, and people are people. Like, people are not good or evil because of their income level.
So, Michelle, when I think about myself and this dresser, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but this dresser, it's what's going on in my life right now. And when I think about this dresser, I do see some of the signs that they mention. For example, I definitely have fear of loss. I have a fear that if I just allow myself to purchase the dresser, to organize my things, then I'll just go ham, I'll slippery slope it, and I will, next thing you know, buy like every organizational tool out there and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on these things that I shouldn't be doing.
And Sammie, I think that's such an important part of this because we've talked about on this podcast before how before you learned about personal finance, you used to spend your income down to zero. Or at least you have this belief that you were this person who was spending all of your money, or you're irresponsible with your money. And even though we've been doing a podcast for almost 3 years around the idea of building wealth and being conscientious of your spending, it's interesting to me that you still have this fear that you're going to slip and slide your way back to zero income.
It's true, Michelle. I actually feel like I know that I wouldn't do that today because I know all the benefits of money. I know about investing and the security that that brings. Before, when I was spending a bunch of money, even though it sounds like maybe that was the opposite of scarcity mindset, it was actually the same thing because I was like, let me spend the money today while I have the money. Like, I have plenty of money today, let me spend it. There was a slight fear there that I might not always have money, or this is the time to spend it because I might not be able to spend it later. That belief system was still there. With the dresser, I also noticed the perfectionism that she brings out. So I have this idea that if I buy a dresser and it doesn't perfectly fit my needs for what I need, then I bought the wrong dresser and I wasted money. And so I'm like spending hours of my time looking at all these different dressers and looking at all my belongings and trying to figure out what would be the perfect ideal thing for my closet when, you know, it's fine to buy something that's not 100% perfect. Like, there probably isn't a dresser that's 100% perfect. It's not a crime.
It's funny to me, Sammie, that it seems like decision fatigue, over-optimizing, maximizing are symptoms of a scarcity mindset as well. Like, on one hand, you can be very impulsive, where you can just see something in the store and want to buy it. And I really relate to wanting, especially if it's an expensive purchase or feels like a really big deal, it feels so permanent for some reason. But in reality, you could always return the dresser, or you could resell one if you bought it on Facebook Marketplace. it does feel like such a permanent decision, but it's not.
Yes, you're exactly right. And fortunately, there are ways to get out of a scarcity mindset. Juliana Park, who wrote this awesome piece called The Abundance Loop, How to Develop a Powerful Abundance Mentality That Attracts Wealth Effortlessly, talks about these two cycles that we can go through, two loops, the scarcity loop and the abundance loop. In the scarcity loop, we have fear. Fear leads to then anxiety. Anxiety will lead to poor choices, and poor choices will lead to negative outcomes. Negative outcomes lead to more fear.
I love the image of these loops, and we'll share them in our show notes and our accompanying newsletter. But it really makes sense. And if there's something that you find yourself spinning on and you're starting to think, oh, I might have a scarcity mindset around this, I think it's good to identify where you are in this loop. A small example, Sammie, from my past is I used to be really concerned whenever a coworker would ask me to donate to a cause. I remember coming to you and saying, I want to donate to these things, but I don't even know how much money I should donate. I don't know if I have enough money. I don't know which causes are worthy or not. And I had this fear that I didn't know what to do. I started to feel anxious that I would make the wrong choice. And then I had a poor choice, which was actually to do nothing. And then it would have a negative outcome. I wasn't able to contribute to something that was meaningful to me. I was able to step out of this loop because I came to you to talk about it. And we came up with this idea that if a coworker ever asked me to donate for something, I would donate like $75, regardless of the cause. And just having that rule in place made things so much easier for me. I, first off, realized that I almost never get asked for these things. It happens like once or twice a year. And I was able to help my coworkers out. One time, one of my coworkers, her kitchen burned down. And it was just really easy for me to be like, amazing, I want to give to this situation. You know, I had my amount that I donated. I didn't think twice about it. I even donated once to my coworker whose dog was getting knee surgery. And she wrote me a really sweet thank you card for donating. And so to me, both of those situations seem wildly different. But I'm glad I got myself out of the scarcity loop because I wanted to be generous and I wanted to give back to people in my life that I care about. But I think I had a scarcity mindset first because I was like, oh, I'm going to spend all this money giving to these people. When, again, it wasn't even that big of a deal. I wanted to help out. And actually, it only happens like once or twice a year. So it didn't even end up being a big deal.
It sounds like you moved from a scarcity loop to an abundance loop.
Oh, yes, I did.
The abundance loop, as Juliana Park talks about, it is being in a place of gratitude, feeling like you have enough, feeling like you have plenty. This leads to peace of mind. Peace of mind leads to wise choices. Wise choices leads to positive outcomes. Positive outcome leads to more gratitude.
Wow. You know, actually, I totally see my same situation here. I had peace of mind in my decision. I gave the, say, $75 to the dog knee surgery. I was happy with that choice. I didn't think twice about it. I felt good about it. I had a positive outcome and gratitude. She sent me a letter saying thank you. And actually, I ended up getting the money back. Like, for whatever reason, she ended up not doing the surgery. And so she just returned the money back to everybody. So I'm glad I didn't spend too much time thinking about it. And I think I was able to support someone in their time of need. And I really see how I ended up on the positive side of that loop.
I really think the way that Juliana Park has these loops laid out is genius. And I also found myself on this same gratitude abundance loop when I was having my dresser issue.
And it happened where all great enlightenment happens, in Walmart.
In Walmart. In my adult life, Walmart has been a staple. It's always been there for me. I'm not saying I'm going to be like one of those people who's like in my wedding dress in a shopping cart at Walmart, although who knows? But Walmart literally is always there for me. So we were at Walmart shopping for things. You were actually looking for a plastic dresser drawer. So then I entered my scarcity mindset where I'm like, should I just get a plastic dresser drawer? Oh, these are actually like $25. $25 is kind of a lot.
And they have the weaved ones. They have like seafoam green. They have gray.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe if I get seafoam green, it'll be cheaper. Hideous. Hideous.
Disgusting color.
I don't want that in my house. So I'm having this whole narrative with myself. And I go to get a stool to help you reach this super high dresser on this top shelf that you wanted a perfect dresser. So, we had to get it for you.
I had a separate problem. I knew I wanted the dresser. Unfortunately, I wanted one that was untouched. Probably my own scarcity mindset. And
that's
so
hard to get
high.
at Walmart. So I come back with a stool and I see you talking to this woman. And it turns out she has her 2 kids with her and she's asking for money to help, pay for her groceries and things like that. One thing I generally do is give to people who are asking for things like that. I love giving to people directly. So I pull out my wallet and then I take out whatever money's in there and then I hand it to the lady so that she can, buy whatever she needed. I did not know about this loop yet, but when I gave her the money, I was so grateful afterwards. I was thinking, I'm like, how wonderful is it that I can give money, even though I don't have a job right now? I feel comfortable enough to give money to somebody who needs money. Like, that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful blessing that I have that I can do that. And this actually led to peace of mind. And with this calmness, I decided, you know what? I'm going to hold off on the dresser for right now. We're going to be getting our stuff next week. I might be able to see what I want then. So I just decided that I'm not going to think about the dresser for now.
A positive outcome.
Positive outcome. And I wasn't deciding this from a place of scarcity. I actually was like, you know what? I have plenty of money. I have money to give to somebody who needs it in Walmart. But I don't want to decide on this dresser right now. So I'm just going to wait a week for that until I have more information.
I do think it's interesting how gratitude and giving can really help break the scarcity loop, because I'm guessing it has something to do with the fact that when you're able to give to others, you're both able to reflect on your own life. And it's just like a community action. When we think about scarcity, we think about what Stephen Covey was saying. His idea is that there's this finite piece of pie and it's a limited amount that we each get. And I think that when you're giving to other people, or when you can have gratitude for what you are receiving in your own life, you are actually realizing that there is enough for all of us and that there is community there and that we can support one another. And that does feel like an abundance mindset. And I love that feeling so much more than whether or not I should pay $5 extra to get the weaved basket at Walmart.
It's so true, Michelle. And it's funny because this gratitude loop, it led to even more gratitude. I really did have the peace of mind, the wise choice. The positive outcome was that then I went home and I was reflecting on this again. And I was like, you know why I have enough money? It's because I learned about finances. And I'm so lucky to have friends who introduced me to that. And I'm so lucky to have encountered podcasts that taught me how to be responsible. Because don't forget, I was the person on the slippery slope who did love to spend all her money. And then I was even grateful just thinking about, if things started to get hard, I could move in with my parents or have such a big family that I could move in with, which is another aspect. When we have abundance, we are not so individualistic. We see ourselves in a more communal scenario. So other people can help us if we need help. And I went through this whole gratitude loop by myself in the kitchen. I started to become tearful because of how much abundance I realized that I had. So compared to last week where I was really anxious about buying a dresser, which I'm sure is going to cost less than $300 total, now I'm in a place where I feel just extremely grateful that I have so much.
I love that, Sammie. And you know what? I'm manifesting a dresser for you. I'm out here. I'm manifesting it. A dresser comes into your life in an unexpected way.
Today I found out that maybe what I actually want is a bookshelf. So
Ooh.
I'm glad I waited from a place of abundance because now more options are popping into my brain.
Takeaways
For this episode. The biggest thing that I find so helpful when it comes to the scarcity mindset is understanding it and taking a moment and reflecting how it plays out in your life. We talk a lot about money and scarcity in this, but it can be in love, it can be in safety, it can be in time. Some people go on vacation and immediately feel upset that the vacation is going to end. There are so many different ways that scarcity plays a part in our lives. And if it's something that's going on for you, recognizing it can start to help you shift from the scarcity loop to the abundance loop.
Community time.
Before we say goodbye, it's our community time.
Community time.
And something we have alluded to, or maybe outright said, but I haven't addressed officially, is that yes, I have left my job. September 1st was my last day of work. So I am officially a sabbaty. Woo! Sammie on sabbatical, you could call me. Sabbatitude is my new attitude.
Here for it.
And we have also moved to South Carolina, so we have physically changed location, and we are now around things like Walmart. Not just Walmart, we have a Whole Foods, there's a Trader Joe's. We are living in abundance, people. We can even turn on the faucet and drink water straight from the tap. We even have a refrigerator that has crushed and cubed ice. We are living the dream.
We are living the dream, Sammie. Coming from the desert to South Carolina and having so much time to spend with you because you're taking time off work is so amazing. I am so grateful. I don't care if we have to buy a new kitchen table. I'm really, really excited about all of this. I think this change has been so positive and we're really, really excited about it.
And you want to talk about abundance? Let me tell you what we have abundance of. Coffee. Because the community center at our apartment complex has a coffee machine, the kind where you can do a latte or a cappuccino, hot chocolate, whatever you want.
So true, Sammie. We have our free coffee in our community center. We, by the way, are waiting for a coffee machine because our stuff hasn't been delivered yet. And in the meantime, our mom also sent us a coffee machine. So we are manifesting coffee. Honestly, we're good on the coffee, y'all. Like, dress or next, universe.
Yes. I do think we're going down there quite frequently. We're trying to go down during hours that are not during the hours that is when our office people are working there, because I don't want them to start thinking that they need to start putting a limit on the coffee.
Yes. Actually, we already decided that because we were going there all the time. And something that I realized is because there's two of us, one, we're more confident in being able to go and use all the amenities. We also stick out. Like, we're sisters. We look alike.
I feel like we appear at the door like the two Shining twins or something. Just coming to get coffee again.
Abby, give me
with
a latte.
Our little beady eyes blinking at them.
We had to mix in a little bit of Starbucks just to give ourselves a break. Shout outs from the community. Josh sent me a message. Listen to our moving episode. He has sent me a lot of encouraging messages. A lot of you have sent, honestly, really encouraging messages. I think a lot of you understand that moving can be such a crazy lift. And so I do really appreciate it. Josh, so funny. He said, hearing how much y'all spent to move across the country broke my heart. Sheesh. Almost like $2,000 each just for cars. Yes, unfortunately, Josh, you are right. Sending your car across the country is not cheap. So I think because we have moved a few times, we did know the cost benefit analysis there. And so we are happy with the decision. And if you guys need somebody, Sherpa Auto Transport, they were amazing. Also, he said that flight delay service, AirHelp, would have came in clutch for me like 2 weeks ago. My flight from SF to Texas got hella delayed. Good recommendation. Check it out, Josh. You can actually go back 3 years. Use our link, AirHelp. You can find it in our show notes.
I have a suitcase I need to get replaced.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
And me too.
We flew and Sammie's suitcase got decapitated.
Literally, the handles just like got cut off.
It was upsetting. And then we couldn't take it back with us because they were stuck upwards. So it's not like you can like take it on a plane with you. So we love flying. We're very grateful for the opportunity, but...
And now we have the abundance of a partnership with AirHelp, who I will contact to see if they can help me get a new suitcase.
Help you get a handle on that situation. Let us know what you guys think about this episode. Scarcity mindset. Do you have a scarcity mindset? Money, love, time, pillows. I don't know what it could be for you. Dressers.
Do you know somebody who has a scarcity mindset?
Ooh,
Are
yeah.
they related to you?
I would guess every single person in our family has a scarcity mindset. We do not. But like, it's weird because they also have like really positive energy and like really believe in themselves and believe in us. So just so you know, those things don't have to be mutually exclusive. But let us know. Send us a message, email, leave a comment, buildawealthyspirit.com. We would love to hear from you.
And most importantly, be sure to join us next time as we put down the rulebook and we rethink the status quo.